Mr. President, what do you think of President Trump's behavior at Arlington Cemetery with the visit to the fallen soldiers?
I don't want to answer things. I may tell you what I think.
Did you watch your Vice President's interview on CNN?
Anything on the ISIS operation, Mr. President?
What are your campaign plans, Mr. President?
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Here we are on a beautiful holiday weekend day. I got to stop what I'm doing, spending time with what's left of my family, to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about what appears to be a pretty epic backfire on Kamala Harris after she decided it would be a good idea to low-key attack the Gold Star families in response to the mainstream liberal media creating fake outrage over President Trump being with the Gold Star families to honor our fallen U.S. service members who lost their lives in Afghanistan, mainly due to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's reckless decision in regards to how they were going to execute the Afghanistan withdrawal. Okay, Trump was there on the anniversary, just honoring our fallen service members, and some pictures were taken, and the mainstream liberal media is trying to make it out to be something that is not, right? And the reason why they're doing this is because they desperately want to try to create some equivalent of what has happened to the Kamala Harris campaign due to Tim Walz, her VP, being accused of stolen valor. And that has upset a lot of people in the veterans community, and is definitely going to hurt Kamala Harris in some of these veteran-heavy / military states like North Carolina, okay? So again, this is panic time for the mainstream liberal media and Kamala Harris, trying to find something, anything they can to attack Trump and to discredit him among the veteran / military community, which I don't think is possible, okay? Democrats are not going to out-patriotic or out-military Trump, okay? They're just not going to do so, right? In fact, I think that if Kamala Harris was elected, that would be terrible for the military for multiple reasons. One, she'd be on board with more woke initiatives, okay? But also on top of that, I think that it would disincentivize more people from joining the military. And there's already a crisis in regards to recruitment for the military. They're having a hard time getting people to sign up, mainly young white men who historically have made up most of the military. Yeah, those guys really don't want to sign up anymore. And I think part of the reason why is because of Democrat leadership. So again, Kamala Harris would be terrible for the military. And she put out this statement that has been interpreted as an attack against Trump and the Gold Star family. So let's actually read what she put out here, because she's getting a lot of backlash for this. She says, as vice president, I have had the privilege of visiting Arlington National Cemetery several times. It is a solemn place, a place where we come together to honor American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service of this nation. It is not a place for politics. And yet, as was reported this week, Donald Trump's team chose to film a video there, resulting in an altercation with cemetery staff. Let me be clear, the former president disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. Now, whoever told Kamala to put this out was not very smart, okay, because the wording here implies that everybody that was a part of this was also a part of a political stunt, that this was done solely as a political stunt, when the story is that Trump was invited by the Gold Star families, right? So Kamala Harris saying that the president disrespected sacred ground as a part of a political stunt, by extension, because again, she's not being very precise in her language here, You can also reasonably interpret this as an attack against the Gold Star families, saying that they were in on a political stunt, right? Which, again, is a very disrespectful thing to imply or to say, which is how I'm interpreting this message from Kamala Harris, okay? She says, this is nothing new from Donald Trump. This is a man who has called our fallen service members suckers and losers and disparaged Medal of Honor recipients. Yeah, again, more lies from Kamala Harris, things that are not proven, okay? But this is all they have, right? This is all they have. They're desperately trying to smear Trump among the veteran community. A man who, during a previous visit to the cemetery, reportedly said of fallen service members, I don't get it. What was in it for them? This is a man who is unable to comprehend anything other than service to himself. If there is one thing on which we as Americans can all agree, it is that our veterans, military families, and service members should be honored, never disparaged, and treated with nothing less than our highest respect and gratitude. Yeah, see, again, it's amazing how she put this out, because it's not like the Gold Star families feel like Kamala Harris has lived up to that in regards to how she has treated military families, okay? And she basically goes on to say that Trump should never be president of the United States again. But this message here has backfired, okay? Because the Gold Star families are speaking out, and they are absolutely destroying her for putting this out there.
Abbey Gate on August 26, 2021. This year, for the 3rd year anniversary of her murder, we welcome President Donald J. Trump to Arlington to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier with our family and to visit Nicole graveside. President Trump and his team were respectful. They listened to our stories and didn't talk much at all. We welcomed them that day, and they were comfort to our family. Vice President Harris, I ask you, why won't you return a call and explain to us how you call my daughter-in-law's death a success? Vice President Harris, why will you not express your condolences yourself? Why have we never heard from you? And finally, why would you take a day where we celebrated the death of our loved one and use it to disparage not only them, but us? President Trump has called, President Trump shows up, and President Trump takes the time to hear our loved ones' stories. Why won't you do the same?
Vice President Harris, my name is Steve Nakui. I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui. And your administration killed my son, deliberately in exchange for political theatrics so you could have a final day of the evacuation coincide with September 11th. Ignoring the advice of your generals, the Doha Agreement, and countless other veterans and members of Congress. Denying the safety of the Afghans and the servicemen and women. Your choice to play politics in 2021 killed 170 Afghans, 13 U.S. service members, and wounded 45 of our service members, as well as countless Afghans. You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. At no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service. Not once have you honored him by saying his name, so I said it for you. You have disparaged all 13 who have lost their lives as well as their families, exhibiting your lack of gratitude by your silence. I agree with you on one thing, that a person like you should never and will never stand behind the seal of presidency. You are a DEI vice president, and contrary to our kids, the worst that America has to offer. I will pray for you, that God has mercy on your soul.
Kamala, your statement is nothing more than a political spin to help you look better in your presidential campaign against Donald Trump. You have never walked a single day in our shoes. Our kids were murdered because of your administration, and you are partly to blame for that as well. What happened at Arlington was President Trump was invited by those families who have their soldiers buried at Arlington. They were invited there as a friend, as somebody who has taken the time numerous times on numerous occasions to hear our stories, to speak our kids' names, and to help us get some accountability from your administration, because in over 3 years, we have gotten nothing but more and more lies. Just like your statement, more and more spun lies and cover-ups to make you and your administration look good. But there is one thing that you said in your statement that was true. No one should be running for president if they cannot honor military members, their families, as well as veterans. So I guess that means that you should step down, Kamala.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, they've all put out videos, okay, of themselves responding to Kamala Harris. Some of these videos, Trump has quote tweeted over Kamala Harris's tweet. So that's what's happening here, right? This is backfired on Kamala Harris, okay? And you have the mainstream liberal media. They are asking Trump surrogates about this incident, and it's not going well for the media.
Bottom line, though, I guess, Senator, is it ever appropriate to make campaign content at military grave sites?
He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the cemetery, and they asked him to take those photos because, as they told me yesterday when I spoke to Kelly Barnett and Darren Hoover, the parents of Taylor Hoover, who has Arkansas ties, they don't get to go to the beach on Labor Day. They don't get to have barbecues. This is their one chance to have a memory of their children, to commemorate their service and to honor their sacrifice. They wanted President Trump there. They wanted to take those photos. You know who the families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away. 10 minutes. She could have gone to the cemetery and honored the sacrifice of those young men and women. But she hasn't. She never has spoken to them or taken a meeting with them.
Well, they did meet with them during the dignified transfer.
Because of
they were with them at the dignified transfer.
Her and Joe Biden's incompetence, those 13 Americans were killed in Afghanistan.
His campaign took photos and video of him in Section 60, where veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried, used it in a campaign video. The Army also says that Trump staffers abruptly pushed aside a cemetery official who tried to enforce Arlington's rules prohibiting political activities. I know you were with Trump at least earlier in that day at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Did you witness the altercation at Section 60?
I was there from the beginning with the laying of the wreaths with the family members, the Gold Star family members, and some of the survivors of that terrorist attack in that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was with them at Section 60, and what I saw was a very grave and somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. And I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families with them. He was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear about any kind of altercation until something came out in the news later on. The families were there grieving alongside President Trump, and it was a very special moment to really remember their names, remember their memories, and understand the true cost of war and the consequences of the decisions that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden made in the execution of that withdrawal.
Yeah, and it is very clear that the former president was invited in his personal capacity, as you said, by a family of one of the service members who was killed about 2 years ago during the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago to the day on August 26th.
Yes, 3 years ago. The question is about the federal law and Arlington's rules that prohibit partisan or political activities at national cemeteries. And the military and also other members of other families who are buried right near there are upset about the campaign filming it and posting the video online. Do you believe that was appropriate?
You know, I checked with the campaign on this question, and they have exchanges with the officials at Arlington Cemetery. They were approved to bring a camera there to document this historic and momentous day that should not be forgotten by any American. And to have a former president there and joining these Gold Star families, I know President Trump wanted to share that with others, especially given the fact that President Biden and Harris, I heard, were invited by some of these family members. They not only didn't come, they didn't even respond to that invitation. And now to have Kamala Harris put this statement out yesterday saying that she stands with these families, she stands with the military and with veterans, you only have to look at the response that came from the Gold Star families of these 13 service members, of how offended they were by that statement, given she has not made any effort, not on that third anniversary or any other time, to call them directly to offer her condolences and even apologies for their decisions that led to the loss of their loved ones.
Do you think that the campaign will release that communication that you're talking about? Because the Army is saying very clearly that they broke the rules because it was clearly put out online, pictures, video, meant as a part of his campaign.
I thought they already had. I was informed that they had come to an agreement. They could bring a camera there. And as far as I know, and the public statements I've seen from the Army, is that the matter is closed.
I think the matter is closed about the altercation, alleged altercation, which you didn't see, but I'm not sure it's closed with the idea that they seem to have broken the rules and perhaps even federal law by putting out the campaign video. I want to ask you about...
I just like to say one last thing on this, because I think it's important, and I've seen a lot of the headlines and the stories and the concerns that people are raising about this. But to me, as a soldier and as someone who has been deployed to different war zones in the world, and I have friends who are buried there at Section 60, what is more outrageous to me is that there wasn't universal coverage of the momentous day of the third anniversary of the loss of these 13 Gold Star families, and the outrage that they feel that their loved ones are not getting the kind of coverage and memory that their great sacrifice deserves. That is what everyone should be outraged about.
Well, yeah, we have covered the horrible events 3 years ago, and have done so several times. Over and over again. So I appreciate you also talking about their memories, because it is important.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. I love that exchange between Tulsi and Dana Bash. And the reason why is because you can clearly see how Dana Bash operates differently when she's dealing with somebody that is pro-Trump versus a Democrat, right? You see how Dana Bash, at the end of everything that she was saying, she tried to get in some little correction or some little rebuttal, right, on behalf of the Democrats and their agenda to smear Trump, right? She wasn't doing that in the Kamala Harris interview. Everything that Kamala said, like, Dana Bash wasn't sticking her opinion in or rebutting Kamala Harris after everything that she said the same way that they do with Republicans, okay, or people that are pro-Trump. This is what they do all the time. And this backfired on Kristen Welker, who tried to do it to Tom Cotton by basically saying that Kamala Harris was at the dignified transfer of the fallen soldiers, when that was not correct, right? They had to put out this correction. They said, on our broadcast this morning, we incorrectly implied, no, she didn't imply, she said that both Biden and Kamala Harris were there. They attended the dignified transfer, even though Biden was there, but Kamala Harris was not. Okay, so Tom Cotton was right, and Kristen Welker, because she's a Democrat propagandist as well too, she was bending over backwards to try to interject, okay, and to throw her fact check in there, because this is what they want to do with Republicans all the time, right? They're trying to rebut Republicans instead of listening. Okay, and Kristen Welker got caught. Okay, she got caught slipping. But I love what Tulsi said there at the end, which is kind of the whole point of all this, which is that the liberal media is pretending like they care about the so-called disrespect, okay, that Trump was showing by filming the event. And they spent more time outraging over this on the anniversary of what happened, okay, the Afghanistan withdrawal, than actually talking about what happened that day, right? And having a real conversation about our fallen service members, okay, and how/why they lost their lives, right? The reason why they don't do that is because they know that it reflects badly on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Okay? But these people are pretending as if they're so offended by President Trump taking pictures after being invited by these families to honor our fallen U.S. service members. They're more offended by that than the fact that they lost their lives in the first place. And that's what's wrong with the media. That's what's wrong with the media. These people are more outraged by this than they are about what actually happened. It's insane. It really is. But honestly, I don't know why Kamala Harris decided to participate in this attack, right? I mean, this just is not a good look for her, right? You are already hurting with the military community because of your VP, okay? So now you decide that you're going to piss off the Gold Star families because you want to join in on this cheap attack to distract from Tim Walz and his stolen valor? Yeah, this is a bad move, right? This is a terrible move by the Kamala campaign, right? I'm not sure who signed off on this, who thought this was a good idea. Yeah, let's piss off even more veterans, right? Let's piss off even more military families by joining in on this attack, right? Again, it's silly. It's nonsense. She only felt emboldened enough to do this because the mainstream liberal media was doing it, and she said, okay, well, I'm going to join in on this, right? This is what they do. But it backfired because these Gold Star families are now mad at Kamala Harris, as they should be, because they're exposing her in the lack of empathy that she has shown them throughout this whole process, right? You can't pretend like you care about our U.S. service members and the families that have lost loved ones when you don't show it, right, in your own actions. And we have testimony from Gold Star families saying, yeah, Kamala Harris doesn't care about us. So you out here talking about Trump disrespecting our fallen U.S. service members when you are disrespecting them and their families, right? According to the families, okay? They're accusing you of what you're accusing Trump of doing. And they're siding with President Trump. Yeah, this is not a good move. But again, this is what happens when your head gets too big, right? The media blows up your head and they think that, oh yeah, well, we could just attack Trump on anything, right? Let's have this battle, right? Let's actually piss off the Gold Star families. Yeah, that's a great idea for the Kamala campaign. Yeah, she really stepped in it. And I think that this is just going to hurt her even more in some of these military heavy states. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.